right, everyone, come on in, come on in. Yes, 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 your eyes are not deceiving you. We are back after a long summer hiatus. We are so happy to have you all here. Come on in and announce yourselves if you want to. Welcome back to the Wives Club. And as you can see from the ticker on the bottom, we are the Wives Club created by the late, great Kevin Samuels. We're going to take a little trip down memory lane, but we're just going to introduce ourselves for anybody new here. I am Maggie. You all may know me as Maggie, the substitute teacher, but in 2021, I actually booked a session with the late, great Kevin Samuels, and it wasn't for me. I am well aware I am average, but I feel strongly about the older women teaching the young. And I always used to get convicted whenever Kevin would say, "Where are the older women?" So here we are. We are current wives, former wives, and future wives, because I firmly believe that being a wife is a mindset. So it started with just me, and then AV joined us in the Wives Club. AV, please introduce yourself.
Hi guys, it's me, AV. You might know me as AV to the seventh power. However, like Maggie, I before I became a content creator, I was involved in Kevin Samuel's Patreon, and I met Maggie there, where she worked with Kevin to come up with the concept of the Wives Club. I thought what she was doing was awesome at the time. I was looking for some guidance and had a few sessions with Kevin that really, really helped me as a person, both professionally and relationship wise. So when I saw what Maggie was doing, I had no choice but to join. It was really fantastic, and I'm so honored to have been able to do that with these four ladies, or three ladies, four including myself. Sorry, it's been a long day.
It has been. It's been a long time. And then after AV joined us in the Wives Club, Lisa joined us. Lisa, please introduce yourself.
Let me unmute myself. Okay. Hey, everybody. I am Lisa. I am a current wife of now 18 years as of a week and a half ago. And I was a patron of Kevin Samuels, and I was really into his shows and everything. And I would just be yelling at the TV or the iPad or whatever, like, who else is out here feel the same way I do? Or, just like Maggie said, where are the older women to say, hey, there's a better way or whatever. And I was like, yeah, that's me too, man. I just went on his Patreon and I found some like-minded women. I found Maggie and then found AV and then Hermeisha joined. So I was just looking for, people who were interested in doing the good work that he was always talking about. So I'm still here and I'm so happy to be back. So happy. So thank you.
Fantastic. And then after Lisa joined us, Hermeisha joined us. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hermeisha, and I was kind of grooving to that music there. Y'all know I'm a represent or as a former wife, and so I saw these ladies in the Patreon, and I was sort of quietly following them, and I'm like, wow, they are talking about it. And at that time, I was in sort of like the beginning stages of the healing and all of that and leaning into the work. And I said, I need to be around these ladies who are doing the same thing, right? So, who are applying these things and trying to just grow. And so I reached out, and here I am. And this was also on the heels of meeting with Kevin at the time. So it was a lot happening during that time where I was learning so much and just kind of humbly submitting to a lot of things. So I was happy to kind of come across these ladies. So I've been really, really encouraged since then, and happy to be back to celebrate what a milestone, and to continue to lean in here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so everybody sit back and relax. We're going to take a trip down memory lane, and I'm going to just bring you all up to speed on how we got started in the Wives Club, show you a little bit of history, and then I'll let the ladies chime in on their memories as well, and then we will wrap it up and move on. So, like I said, in 2021, I booked a session with oh no, I didn't set up the super chat settings. I'm so sorry, you guys. This was supposed to be our monetization party. It's been a long time, and My apologies. I'll take that
I
one.
got you, Maggie. I'll go back there and do it.
Okay, you can fix it. Okay, thank you, AV. Okay, so back in 2021, like Lisa said, we all used to listen to the late great Kevin Samuels, and I used to just have the conversation with, my man, because honestly, it was hard for me to find other women that actually agreed with what he said. You all know that most women, really didn't want to hear what Kevin had to say, and I never was. Vocal about it or in the chat. I was just kind of one of those who ninja watched. Well, um, I booked a session with him, and I actually, didn't want the session for me. I wanted to give back, but I didn't know how. Now, I know a lot of you all know me as Maggie, the substitute teacher now, but 2+ years ago, 3 years ago, almost, I was just a suburban mom. Who am I to say, oh, I think I might have some ideas that could be helpful? And I'm so happy to share that, Kevin was incredibly gracious in person, and he actually supported 100%. And I don't know if I've ever shared this, but Kevin actually said, okay, let me see what you can do. You guys can open up for my show. And I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. This is way too much of a tall order. And I'll admit it, I kind of chickened out. I said, okay, well, I'm only asking to do this in the Patreon. I was not ready for prime time. So he gave us his blessing. He came up with the name, and the rest is history. So on October 12th of 2021, there was a gentleman in the Patreon who made a post, and it just said, what were you all's takeaways from the show? I don't know if you all remember one years ago called Are Modern Women Thieves? And I was like, ooh. So he just kind of typed up a post about what his thoughts were. And I said, well, I'm going to do my reaction from a lady's perspective, but instead of a just typed response, I am going to do a video. So it was kind of like a reaction video. And you all have seen some of the older videos now where it was just, where it was just me. And I was shocked after I started posting those videos. There were a couple of ladies who started commenting on the videos. One of them was AV. So, AV, I am going to bring you up so you can say what made you want to join. And I'm going to see if I can fix that button.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you guys for your patience. Maggie's going back there to hit the button. So I see a few people. Thank you guys for being awesome and letting us know. But I think for me, when I decided to join the Wives Club, it was after having some very hard conversations with Kevin. Some of them were interesting. Thus, the glasses were born. These are the same brand that he used to wear. I used to wear some blue glasses, and he was just like, ma'am, those look whimsical. Please stop wearing them. And I was like, okay. But I think it was really enlightening because I had a particular mindset about relationships that just was not productive. And then after I took his advice and started implementing them, like I can't tell you guys like the change that I've seen since then. And I just wanted to have a community and a space and be able to talk to other women that were either going through a transformation or, to Lisa's point, like-minded. So when I saw what Maggie was doing, I was just like, oh wow, I watch everything he puts out religiously. I think at one point when I first found Kevin's content, I went back, guys. It took me 3 months, but I watched every single live stream. And those things are long, right? It took me months, but I did it because I really wanted to learn. So I put it on double speed and I watched every single one. I started going back in time and catching up and catching up and catching up and catching up and downloading because that's how committed I was to change. And I know not a lot of people are like that, but that's how much I wanted to really ingrain those messages in my mind, but also enact you know those changes in real life, right? It's one thing to talk about it one time with a person, but when Kevin was alive and anytime I would see him, he would always say, hey, you, did you do what I asked you to do? And I'm like, yeah, I did it, but times two. And he's just like, I knew you would, right? But it's that coaching that was super, super helpful. So, that's what led me to the Wives Club. But when I saw what Maggie was doing, she was watching every single episode too, but, recording her, her thoughts on it and her perspective on it. And I thought that was brilliant. Eventually Lisa joined and was able to share her perspective too, as someone that is, and let me say this, Maggie was giving her perspective as a former wife, like someone that had been married before and sharing things that she learned from marriage. Lisa is a current wife. She is married, right? And has been married for a really long time. And then Hermeisha joined us, and it's so great to hear her clinical perspective as a therapist. But she's also been married as well. So for me, I then started to learn things from them, every week. So I was sharing my perspective, but learning from them as well. So it was awesome. It was awesome. So that's really what led me to the Wives Club, and I'm so happy I found this place.
Absolutely. Thank you, AV. All right, you guys. So it's my fault. I've got to do some stuff behind the scenes. It's asking for some verification. So I would just ask you guys, sit back and relax. The good news is we are going to continue our weekly streams after today. We are monetized, but this one is on me. So we'll just give you guys a little bit of story time, and then we'll let you have your evening. So one of the things that AV didn't share is that she's actually one of the reasons why we started having some artwork and some graphics. I'm going to give you guys a little trip down memory lane with the very first logo that we had. Let me see if I can share my screen. This is way before 10 plus sounds. So AV was like, you know what? You're always, let me put something together that the Wives Club can actually use in the Patreon. I don't know if you remember this, but this was our very first logo. Thank you, AV, for putting this together. Former wives, current wives, and future wives. So this was the logo that we had in the Patreon. And then to that point, the very first panel we had, because it started with just me, and you all have seen the videos behind the scenes. This was the very first one, panel discussion, episode number 1. So AV shared what made her join the Wives Club. I'm actually going to take it down and let Lisa share with us what made you want to join the Wives Club.
What made me? Oh, okay. So I will be in the comments on the live shows on Instagram and YouTube. Type it away, agreeing with everything, and just really verbal. On a lot of shows, if I was able to stay up a little, because I had a young child at the time, if I was able to stay up and watch it, and like I said, my husband put me onto the show, and I just kind of got obsessed. And the only people I could really talk about it to was like my sisters who are both married, my mother-in-law, my mom, and that was it. Because I'm a housewife, so I didn't really have anybody outside to talk to, and my daughter wasn't really in school at that young age. She's in kindergarten now, so we've been doing this almost 3 years. So I just needed an outlet for like my frustration and like who else is with me, And so I was like, okay, he's got a Patreon. I looked into that finally and got on board. But I just really wanted someone else to kind of, I guess, human person, not somebody out there, and not that nobody's human on YouTube or anything, but just somebody to converse with and say, hey, how did you feel about this? And like Maggie said, the people on Patreon would have discussions and questions, and we would answer that. And also we got to interact with Kevin a lot and come to some of his meetings, which was really great. But he was a very busy man. But and I really, when I started searching even more, and I found Maggie out there, and she had a few videos, and then I saw Maggie and AV, and I was like, oh, they're doing what I was thinking about, what I've been talking to my husband about. He's like, well, why don't you go find something? So I was like, okay. But I even looked into having a discussion with Kevin, but I'm like, no, I'm not going to put my husband through that and ask, because Kevin was asking for a lot of money back then. But, well, anyway. So I just really enjoyed once Maggie reached out to me and said, would you like to join? This is what we're doing. I was like, heck yeah. And it was just kind of like that. And the next thing I know, they're like, well, we're going to do it was really quick. She's like, I just need a headshot, and I had to get my husband to take some pictures of me, and my sisters dolled it up for me because it's been like forever since I did anything. And I just really, I felt like I found some online friends and some community and people to talk to, and we could all rally back from the week after he had so many shows on YouTube and Instagram. We can go over ones that interest us or point out things, and you really got to look forward to the Saturday mornings that we would get together and do this, and it was just really fun and telling people about it, even though we was in our little Patreon corner. But as it got bigger and things started happening, and we always thought about doing this, but we finally did, and I'm so happy we did, and it came together so well when it did come together. So I think it was all meant to be, and it's been a blessing, and I want it to continue. And like Maggie said, we also want a younger perspective. So, people consider me, I'm a wife almost of 20 years. So I would like to hear from women who are new wives or younger than myself and hear their perspective, because, they've got a lot to talk about too. And I'm sure the women that view us want to hear from someone that's recently married, because when I got married, everything is totally different now. I don't know what you do for weddings now. So, and also, people say secretly, I like to go to weddings, and, my age group is kind of not really getting married. I mean, they are, but I don't know anyone. So secretly, I want to be here to go to some of y'all's weddings too and celebrate and all that. But aside from that, I'm happy to be here, and I want, continue to do this, and whatever new blood we get in or can help us out with that, I'm looking forward to it. So I'm all about it. But that's what brought me here, and I'm so glad I did, and I'm so glad I reached out, and I wanted to keep going. So that's it.
Thank you so much, Lisa. All right, I'm going to go back to the screen share and take you guys back down memory lane with us. So like I always say, this was our first panel discussion, and then voila, Lisa joined the group. And like she shared with you all, we were recording. We weren't live in the Patreon. We would meet on Saturday mornings, and we would, go over Kevin's shows for the week, and we would kind of get together and say, okay, I want to talk about this show, and I want to talk about that show, and then we would record it and we would post it exclusively in the Patreon. Now, since we've had this summer hiatus, and I've dropped some balls, but we've had this summer hiatus, you all were able to see some of that older content, and I'm so glad that it was helpful to you. So now, after we started doing our thing in the Patreon, we moved into doing some interviews, because we definitely feel like older women should teach the young. Some of you all may remember Caroline. She used to come on Kevin's show. She was in the Patreon, and we experimented with a few things where we would actually bring up young ladies that were interested in having, or promoting their marriage mindset, and we would interview them, and we would ask them questions from our own perspective to help get them ready. That's some of the stuff that we would do in the Patreon with the young ladies. So we did that panel interview with Caroline. We also had a Christmas show. Shout out to AV again with the artwork. We were very festive inside the Patreon. We wanted to celebrate the holidays, whether it was Christmas, whether it was New Year's, whether it was Veterans Day. We were committed not only to Kevin's message, but also showing that, it's okay to be that type of feminine support system. Yes, we were having a lot of fun, Bella Rings, and the fun is going to continue, and we invite you all to join us. We are so excited to be back. So that was going on in the Patreon, and then we had someone else reach out to us. I'm going to bring up Hermeisha and let her speak to us about what made her want to join us in the Wives Club.
Yes. And, when I was watching them, because I was low key for I like to quietly watch folks. This is what I do. So I was just watching for a good couple of weeks or so. And I'm like, wow. And this was after I had met with Kevin. And at that point, I was like, I'm a hot mess. I was in the beginning stages of just grieving and releasing and letting go. And things were just pretty much over. So I was raw, believe it or not. I might not have looked like it, but I was raw. And I was in the Patreon after meeting with Kevin. He recommended me joining the group and was just kind of quietly observing, and then saw these ladies and clicked on a couple of their episodes and just quietly watched. And for me, what was most intriguing was the level of insight. I see a lot of that being developed as a provider, as a clinician, that has to be trained and nurtured for a period of time. And what was inspiring was that these ladies were, uh, they had a level of self-awareness where they were able to see the areas of weaknesses and wasn't afraid to name what they were struggling with. You don't get that a lot with people. A lot of us, and just human nature, we want to protect the ego. We want to, we want to hide. We have our guards up. We don't let our guards down until we know we can trust each other. And so that was very intriguing to me, and I knew they had something special, quite frankly. Um, oh, Jeff, hey Jeff. I knew they had something special, and for me, I just wanted to support that in any way possible. And in fact, the first message I sent to Maggie, I said, "How can I help?" It wasn't, "How can I be part of the panel?" "How can I help?" And then eventually, well, let me back up. First, I encouraged her. I said, "You have such a welcoming spirit and such a beautiful smile that just draws people in, doesn't she, y'all? She just draws us in with her speech and her smile." And then I said, "How can I help?" And then she was like, "Well, you want to be a part?" I'm like, "What? Not me. I feel like a hot mess." But nonetheless, that's how it started. And every episode, again, it was still not us coming to the table like we know it all, but just this heart posture of humility that we're behind closed doors working this stuff out. Even myself, I wasn't coming as a therapist. I was just coming as Hermeisha. I was just coming broken, like, I got to figure something out. My marriage has failed. I have 2 children. I've been married for a decade. I'm raw and I'm vulnerable and I feel so afraid. But I have these ladies here doing the work, so I don't feel completely alone. And so here we are, quite frankly. And I look back at that, and I remember when I met with Kevin, and I'm just so thankful for the time he poured into me. I'm sure AV is. I'm sure we all have been, um, in many ways, touched by some of his work, even folks who didn't all the way agree with him. That was the other thing. You didn't have to all the way agree with him to get something of substance, to walk away a better person. And for me, I definitely got a lot. He encouraged me. Um, and he said, this is not it for me. He encouraged me, drop the weight. He sure did. Yeah, drop the weight, Hermeisha. I said, yes, sir. He said, "I know you got 2 kids, but they're not newborn." And since then I've dropped about 60 pounds, and I'm still going, and I'm getting stronger, and I'm lifting, and at some point next year I'll be on somebody's stage competing. So to be continued. So if Kevin was here, I know he'd be very proud of that, and more importantly, of the inner work, and anything outward that you all see here with us is really a reflection of the inner work that we're doing. So that's my journey, and that's how I joined.
Fantastic. Well, you all know we have a very, very special guest in the chat, and I always get chills anytime Jeff Liscombe comes by. I'm just so incredibly humbled. If you all would please put Jeff in the chat. And if you don't know who he is the late great Kevin Samuel's best friend, and he has been supporting us and has seen our journey from the Wives Club even till now, what's gone well and what's not gone well. And he's been so incredibly supportive. And every time he's around, it just makes me feel like Kevin would be proud of the work that we're continuing. We are in the Wives Club because Kevin touched each of us individually. We all met in the Patreon. And so we're going to continue the work because Kevin's message lives on, even though he's no longer with us. But I'm just so happy that he is here. And Jeff says, Kevin always said, put in the work. We all have to put in the work to be our best selves. It's the results of the work. Yes. So yeah, absolutely, you all. So this just makes me feel so much better. And like Hermeisha said, we all came to the Wives Club because, I'm sorry, we all came to the Patreon because Kevin touched us and we wanted to come to the Wives Club to help the younger women, but it actually ended up helping us as well. And so we are so excited to share that with you all. All right, so then going back to our trip down memory lane. So you saw Hermeisha joined us, and then the work continued. We had another young sister that we did a panel interview with. So every week, whether it was us reacting to Kevin's content or we would bring a young woman up who had some questions about her marriage mindset, and she wasn't, none of us have all the answers. And so she wanted to talk to us about that as well. So we continued to do the work. And then, unfortunately, as you all know, I mean, we'll never forget the day that we all heard the news. We'll never forget where we were and what we were doing. So I think of the Patreon, the way we started is kind of like our season one with the Wives Club, and we made a tribute video to Kevin, and it threw us. Honestly, it really threw us back on our heels. We had, the momentum. I mean, all of you all remember and feel that, and we kind of took a break. We took a break because we just needed to process what happened. And then, season two picked up because we were connected to the mix. But I'll take another lap around, and I'll just share, a memory that I'll never forget of Kevin. And I always say this. He always used to ask women, but are you a wife? And I never understood that. I always used to say, why are you asking them, are they a wife? They want to be married. That's why they're calling you. And then what I realized, and I'll never forget, is that he was asking, are you a wife? Because being a wife is a mindset, and we have to be that wife before we are actually selected as a wife. So I always remember that, and that's where the current, former, and future comes from. So I'm going to take a lap around. Avi, do you have a memory or anything that you will never forget about Kevin?
Uh, there are so many things. Number one, he was brilliant. Number two, he was like intimidating, but he was also really funny. Like he had a sense of humor that a lot of people didn't understand sometimes. But when you get to know him, he has a heart of gold and it's just super, super funny. But, he also, shout out to Jeff, he also respects people that put in the work. You know, one thing that I will never forget personally is in that first conversation, I was so afraid to talk to him because, he's so intimidating. But, he ended up being super nice. But, before I became more free flowing and just more energetic and a ball of energy, there was a time for a really long time where I kept that bottled up. And he had this innate ability to see that something was off with people, like maybe call it like a people person. I don't even know what the correct term is. He just knew how to read people really well. So, if you were not being very forthcoming, like I remember having a conversation with him where we went for like an hour and 30 minutes because he was just like, why are you doing that thing? And he would change the subject and go back. And he wouldn't let me leave. He's just like, now I'm going to go back to, why are you doing that thing? And I was like, what is that thing? And he's just like, sometimes you're a little closed off. Why is that happening? And then he was doing his thing. He dug and dug and dug and dug. And then he finally got to the root of it. He's like, that's what you have to work on. So for me, that was a game changer. It was life changing in a way because now I'm not so closed off when I talk to people. It could be friendships, family relationships, whatever it could be. He described it as being very like um, constricted. He's just like, you seem to come off like very business oriented. And he's like, I don't know if that's just out of habit, but if you want to meet somebody, you can't do that. So that was important because I wasn't going to meet any men coming off that way, right? So he helped me come to terms with that. But yeah, he was hilarious. Like after that point, when I started implementing his coaching, I would walk in a room or in this case, Zoom rooms into his meetings. He'd be like, man, Evelyn, I told you, I knew you were going to do that. And guys, he always pronounced my name wrong. And we had met so many times. He would call me Evelyn, AV, all types of names. Every single time he got my name wrong, but it was amazing to me. So now I go back to those recordings and I love them. But there was one time he got it right, and I was like, "You got it, KS. You finally got it."
I love that. All right, Lisa, what about you? Do you have a favorite memory or anything you'll never forget about Kevin?
Like I always say, I love his daddy mode. That's what I would call it. Like I said, he always, to me, I could always touch my heart because I have an excellent, awesome dad. And there's times in my life when I'm like, I can hear things my dad taught me. He's like, don't be out in the dark, trying to do anything or go to a gas station at night. I can hear my dad in my head. So now I got like Kevin in my head too, like an extra dad, saying stuff like, you need to honor your husband, or just, reminders, because it's a good refresher. I think I talked about the smile when you go out and meet people in the world, and smile at Black men, especially, not to be cute or anything, just to be like, smile. Why can't we smile? We don't have anything to be mad about. Why can't we smile at someone someone that shares our complexion or whatever it is? So it's things like that he, when he would talk to other women on the panel, it really touched me. I could hear the dad in his voice and the frustration and how it was kind of, I want to say, taking a toll on him, because he was trying to get the ladies on the show to understand and how important what he was saying and grasp it. So my favorite memory is when he had those hard conversations with the ladies on the show, and you could see the emotion. And if like you're someone like myself who has had a dad that does that to you, he may make you cry, he may make you upset, but he's telling you something for a reason. And it kind of makes me feel like that now. But there's love behind it. You may not think, it may not feel like it in your feelings, but there's love behind, and that's what a man does. He's trying to protect you. He's trying to make sure everything's, and I could see that every night, or most nights, every night when he was on the show doing his thing, drinking his Red Bulls, preaching, really. So that's the most memorable thing of Kevin's to me. He's in my head along with my dad and other men in my life that have provided me with good information and protect me even now. So, that's what comes to mind.
I love it. What about you, Hermeisha? Any memory, anything you'll never forget about Kevin?
There's so many. One thing, the biggest thing that stands out to me when I met with him personally was really how he validated what I was experiencing. It was a bit unorthodox. He would say, for men, and for me that was something that was refreshing. To say, to validate that, hey, this is not how it's supposed to be. It unique to what I was experiencing and all of that. He got the details of all of that, and for him to say that as a man was healing for me. Because we hear a lot of folks. He catches a lot of heat. He caught a lot of heat on the show for coming hard, for supporting men, which we are here. We are supportive of all men and all the things, and healthy relationships, and us as women doing our work. And so in my situation was a little unique with some of the pain and the reason why it had ended. It was just good for me to hear how he validated how my situation was a bit unorthodox. So I would say that was memorable. That doesn't mean he didn't get on me. He definitely got on me and corrected me on some things that I needed to improve on. And so But at the place I was at, I needed to hear that from a man to say, this is not how men are supposed to be. Don't do nothing, Hermeisha. Let it fall. Let it burn in his way. Don't change the don't touch the battery. Just let Rome burn. I mean, he really literally said that. Don't do anything, because part of my issue was I was delegating. I would clean it all up. And sometimes, ladies, we got to step back and fall back and rest and just let it go. For men to do what they've been called to do. And so anyway, that was healing for me. And as well as in his show, he would often quote this sort of hierarchy, if you will. And we know as believers, we know that that's just Bible. When he would say the wife, but the children report to the wife or the mom. The wife reports to the husbands report up to the Lord, if you will, right? And I just thought that was that was really good to hear. But not only that, he was saying that in the mainstream. So whether you're a believer or not, in a Christian faith, you knew that spoke to you. There's an order of things in the home, and for traditional marriages to work, we all have our role, we all have our place. And so that was, for me, that was I was glad that he emphasized that, and you can tell his heart for traditional marriages. But not only that, you can tell his upbringing. So I appreciated that, and I gleaned so much. And there's so many things, but those are the things that stood out. As well as, like AB said, and we all are saying, he was hilarious. He was very witty. He was sharp. All the things. So missed, but I learned so much in a time that I had to spend with him. But also, we have a plethora of his material.
Absolutely. So I'm sure all of us here take away something from Kevin's messages, as well as he kind of stepped on some of our toes sometimes too, but it was necessary. And I will just share, if you ever had the opportunity to meet with him one-on-one, I will always say how gracious he was. I'm just going to read this comment from Jeff. He says, this group is a part of his vision of women, uplifting other women to be the wife you all want to be. I know he would be so proud of you all, where you are taking women's relationships. Thank you so much. That means more than you know. So after season 1 with the Wives Club, we took a little bit of a hiatus, and I'll just bring you guys a little bit of story time. So there was the Patreon group, and the 4 ladies here, we all met in the Patreon group. Kevin also had a private Facebook community called The Mix. Some of you all may have heard him talk about it. Some of you all may have been part of The Mix. We met in the Patreon, so I'll speak for myself. I wasn't in the mix, but after his unfortunate passing, there was a concerted effort to bring both communities together. So we were moved. The Wives Club had been rocking along in the Patreon. Y'all know we had over 50 episodes of work that we had done. And so, the powers that be wanted to make sure that his entire community had access to our content. So in our second season of the Wives Club, we continued meeting every week, but we were doing it in the mix. We were setting up a private Facebook live stream. So that was our first toe into the water of going live, but it was within the walls of the mix. So if you weren't in the mix, you didn't see our content. But it was a great first step for us, because in the Patreon, we weren't live. We would record it and then we would post it. So we started going live, and we got really good feedback and really good engagement. And I think, I'll speak for myself, some encouragement that, this is valuable, this is necessary, other people need to hear this. And then the 4 ladies and I, this next picture that you see, we had met. You all know we met in the Patreon, so we all met virtually. And then we had the opportunity to go to San Diego in January of this year. And it was the first time that these 4 ladies and I were able to meet in person. This was at the lead attorney's meetup in San Diego, and just taking you all back a little bit, because it seems like, oh yeah, how easy. It wasn't easy. None of us were content creators when we started this. We were all private people, and at various points in our lives, with either being in the Patreon or being in the mix, certain people were saying, this is great. You need to put this out there. Can I share? Other people need to see this. The world needs to see this. And for whatever reason, we were all like, no, 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 no. We have our own, personal lives. We don't want any smoke. We just do our little thing in our happy community. But when we went to San Diego and we kind of we met in person for the first time, the magic just happened where we locked arms on that pier and said, I think we're ready to take this to the world, which means coming outside of the walls of the Patreon and the mix and putting our channel, creating a YouTube channel and putting it on for everyone to share, because we all feel very strongly about Kevin's work and our take on it as women. By this time, I had started my YouTube channel, so I was a little bit more comfortable. Also, AV had started her YouTube channel, so we were kind of like, okay, I think we can do this. And so season 2 was in the mix. And then season 3 in January of this year, after we came back from San Diego, that was our first time live streaming. And that's how you all got to know the Wives Club. So every week, you already know, we would find some of Kevin's archived content and we would react to it and we would give our perspective, because was what was in the chat. Oh, thank you. Kevin left us with so much, and his message still lives on. I am still convicted every time I hear him speak. So we'll take one last lap around as far as bringing the channel to YouTube and any memories or fun experiences. Then we'll close out with what's next for the Wives Club, because our summer hiatus is over and we are going to continue, and I'm going to share with you all what that's about. So, I'll just start that we thank you all so much for creating a safe space for us. And I am well aware that, Kevin's content can still be polarizing, but our intent is to help not only the community, but help ourselves. And so this experience on the YouTube side has been better than ever. So we can't wait to pick it back up with you all. AV, do you have anything to add since we've been on YouTube?
Yeah, it's been fun. We've done a lot, since January, we've done that appearance. We came together and did a live episode here in Boston and had a production studio. All of us were there. We had technical glitches and it was so much fun to see everyone in person. Then we had an episode with Melanie King. Then we had an episode with Chantel. Like, we have been so busy and it has been back to back to back. And then Lucy came on and so many amazing guests and so many conversations. But I think the most rewarding part is always seeing the women in the chat that resonate with certain things, that are also happy to have a community like this. Because I think all of us were looking for this, so we're happy to be able to keep that momentum going. And for me, like, being able to connect with these 3 ladies was always a joy and something I look forward to. We used to do it every Saturday for like a year and a half. Like, it was a long time. Like, that was a lot of Saturdays. It became my Saturday routine, have my coffee. I was like, I'm gonna have the ladies and I'm gonna have a conversation. You tell your family members, like, nobody come in here. It's time for the Wives Club, right? It was a thing. So I had some really good memories and great experiences with you guys.
Absolutely. Lisa, what about you? What has your experience been since we've been on the YouTube side?
My experience has been very good on the YouTube side, but a little bit crazy, especially when you have a young child and they don't want to listen and they want to interrupt or join the show. Because like my daughter thought she was part of the show for a long time. She probably still does. Well, not as much now, but so a lot of my memories are, kind of keeping people out of the screen, making sure the house is quiet, not having to shout on the screen or hearing somebody yell "mommy" in the background. Um, I don't know why that's memorable to me, but it is because it's my child. But I don't know. YouTube was a little intimidating. I can tell you that. But I believe I've gotten better at it. I think as time went on, it was, um, I don't know, it was giving me a little anxiety at sometimes at first, but it's kind of like you just start getting into it and you get the momentum. So, um, but I did enjoy it, and I enjoyed our little Saturdays too. Like AV was saying, our Saturdays was a thing for a year and a half, and I had an even younger child. But I look forward to us continuing it and seeing what the future brings. So, but it's been very memorable. I'm so happy to have been a part of it, and I just can't wait for what's to come.
Absolutely. And Hermeisha, what about you? Any memories since we've been on YouTube?
Yeah, the first memory, and this is all internal, believe it or not, I was kind of low key scared because I'm not a public speaker. I was like, whoa, we're going to go live on YouTube with all these folks. Um, and so that was a little scary, like Lisa said. But I think just sharing the platform with these ladies and funny moments. What's the one that pops out about the intimacy one? We were all in red. That was that was a highlight. Maggie's face was hilarious. Just we just had fun, y'all. We just really genuinely had fun, and I love that. We were ourselves, and we obviously still ourselves, and so that sticks out to me. Just the fun we had, and that took away any type of like butterflies, really. But I've been encouraged to kind of build my channel. I've been hearing a lot of folks telling me to when you gonna do a podcast and all that. So I'm working on it, y'all. So stay tuned for something to happen with my channel at some point.
That is fantastic. I am so happy to hear that, Hermeisha. All right, you all. So as we wrap this up, and actually, AB reminded me, you all, we have done so much. You all are sharing your memories in the chat. I saw that Rodney liked the photo shoot. I remember that trip up to Boston. We got 10 plus sounds to actually do some artwork for us. So once we got on the YouTube side, this is the graphics that you all remember. We did some amazing collabs. You all know and love Luke Casely. She was one of the first ones to pitch in for us and bring her perspective. And then we did a collab with Chantel Simone. I was so excited to have her on and talk about, everything that she learned from Kevin as well. And then, how can I forget the collab we had with Melanie King, where I was in London and in the car and en route and doing too much and trying to manage a stream and just everything that goes along with that. So we've done a lot in our season 3, and then our our summer hiatus. We actually did get monetized, you all, but I have to take this one. It's on me. I've got to do some stuff behind the scenes with YouTube to verify, and I dropped the ball on that. So my apologies, but I am still enjoying this trip down memory lane. And the good news is we are going to be back with you all every week. So let's talk about what the future looks like for season 4 for the Wives Club, and then we will let you all have your evening. Yes, thank you. We appreciate you so much. We definitely do. All right, so let's go back to where we were and see what's next for the Wives Club. All right, so AV shared with us last time that with all the wonderful things happening in her life, it is time for AV to exit the Wives Club. She will always have a space with us, but we wanted to send her off with our best wishes. Moving, new job, everything falling into place. And we cannot, the Wives Club would not be where it is without her first raising her hand. So I didn't have to be alone. So I really, really appreciate you, AV, and we definitely wish you the best. So, what does that mean for us moving forward? Now it's time for other ladies to step up and be part of the Wives Club. I'm very excited. We have a couple that have already raised their hands. We're very excited. You know, Mona D, if you're still interested, Bella Rings, if you're still interested. So here's what we're going to do. The Wives Club has always been and will always be open to women who have a marriage mindset. And like I say in the intro, whether you are currently married, whether you are currently married, let me take that down, formerly married, or want to be married, you have a place in the Wives Club because we want to promote that marriage mindset. And yes, the older women will always teach the young, but there's definitely an opportunity for our younger ladies to give their perspective and ask their questions. So we are going to go back to our weekly streams. We've held onto our time slot Fridays at 8:30. So I will be posting the StreamYard as upcoming like we did. You all are welcome to join us if you're able to make that schedule. I know life happens to all of us, so sometimes you can make it and sometimes you can't. And it's been wonderful having the four of us together. But moving into season 4, it's going to be one of those whosoever will can be here. So if you're interested, the good news is Kevin's channel has now been doing compilations of his best moments. So we are going to be responding to the new old Kevin content. So there'll be a link in the stream with the Kevin content that we're going to react to, and you just bring your own life perspective, and it'll be just like this. We'll do an hour and a half together, take our laps around, and then just continue to encourage and uplift each other. And I'll have some questions in the stream, and that's what we're going to be doing moving forward on the YouTube channel. And I'll get the monetization button turned on next time. But really, we just wanted to come in here and let you all know what's next for us. So we will take our last lap around. AV, for your last time in the Wives Club, anything you want to say as you farewell?
Yeah, listen, Kevin's stuff, it works. I found a man, and it's great. We're like a year and a half in now, so you know, Kevin's content really works. If you really pay attention to it, it can make a difference. And I'm just so grateful that I found him at the time in my life when I did in my early 30s. Like, whew, man, I would have hit that wall. So thank God for Kevin. And thank God for you ladies too. You know, I learned so much from you guys from different perspectives. You know, I can't even mention how many times I would call a Maggie when I was struggling with something, or call Hermeisha, or text Lisa, you know, with different things in life. And they have just been tremendous, you know, partners in this, but also just really great friends, you know. So if I could take anything from this experience, it is, if you're a woman and you want some help, listen to Kevin's stuff, but listen to this as well. Listen to the Wives Club. I'm telling you, it'll make a difference.
Absolutely. And as we sign off, Lisa, anything you want to add about what's next?
No, I'm just excited about what's next. I'm excited and I'm looking forward to it. And I'm ready to keep doing this work and just keep doing it. Because I know there's people out there that truly want to hear and want to share and want this information and a perspective from different people on this information. So we're here to do that. So please join us. Thank you.
Absolutely. And then Hermeisha, as we close out, anything you want to share about what's next?
I'm glad that, this is going to continue, and, and still being a part of it. I'll pop in here and there, as she said, whosoever will, and, I'm just excited that the women are showing up and leaning into this. I think, ladies, take what you can take and apply, apply, apply. As you say, as you saw, AV, she's sort of the fruit of some of Kevin's coaching. And so I'm happy to continue to be a part of it and pop in when I can, as I, work on some things on my own side, and just happy to be here to support. And honestly, this is almost like a way to give back. So, we're kind of giving back what we've learned and what we're still learning. So that's kind of how I view it. So
Absolutely. And I am going to bring this up from Jeff. I did drop the link just in case anybody wants to speak, but Jeff is telling us the fourth season will be the next level for the Wives Club to serve ladies even more. Can't wait to see what you are bringing. Keep blessing more ladies to becoming wives. And I am so grateful. Couldn't have said it better than that. We need this community. You all have been so supportive of us, even with our mess ups, but you see our heart, and we have that Kevin connection. So we'll be here whenever it works for any of the wives' schedules. We are the original four, but we are so excited to expand. So, my plan is by Monday of each week, I'll have the upcoming stream, the schedule, and the topic. So if it's something that you feel like you can add to the conversation, then by all means, click that link. We go live at 8:30, so if you can join us by 8:15, we'd love to have the conversation and just keep Kevin's memory alive. So yes, with that being said, thank you all so much. Thank you for waiting for us. Thank you for being patient with us. The best is yet to come. And as long as there is still breath in my lungs, Kevin's memory will live on, because he has forever changed my life. And I'm sure the ladies would concur. Yes, thank you, everyone. So this is not goodbye. This is until next time. We will see you all back here on the Wives Club. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.